will review for you the top 5 as they are on the racetrack, as this scoring confusion has been all figured out. And all those 5 cars are on the lead lap.
As a matter of fact, if the race were to end right now and all the cars keep running, Alex Kowicki would be the Winston Cup point leader after today, and Sterling Marlin would be the second place car, because both Earnhardt and Waltrip have had some serious problems today and will finish far down when the day's over.
That's right. Both of them are still on the racetrack, but both Earnhardt and Waltrip did have incidents with the wall earlier. And how about Rusty Wallace, who has won 2 races so far this year? Well, Rusty is another one of those guys who has had problems throughout the afternoon, and although he has been among the front runners, it doesn't appear as if this is going to be his day.
Well, I don't know. He's still in front of Harry Gant, and how many laps? Kenny Martin, he is only 1 lap down right now. He's only 1 lap down. He's on the tail end of the lead lap. So if he can stay in front of Gant, the caution flag come out. We've seen Rusty Wallace win from 2-3 laps down. So he's still not out of it.
Yeah, I'm perhaps a little premature in calling him out of the race, but it hasn't been as easy for him as it has been in some of the races that he's come from 2 laps down.
Now we see 2 cars. Here's Mark Martin, car number 6. He's running out in front of Rusty Wallace, and Rusty Wallace is in front of Harry Gant. So both of those fighting to keep themselves out in front, hoping for another caution that they can come all the way around and get back in the thick of this thing.
They tell me that 2 laps until the tire rule, whatever tires that the competitors have on right now are 2 laps from now, that's the tires that they must end the race on. So they can't switch back and forth from Hoosier to Goodyear anymore.
In the last 100 miles of a race like this has to be on the same tire. You can't change tires in the last, you can't change brands of tires in the last 100 laps of competition. So in 1 more lap, that rule will go into effect.
I think Harry has run Goodyears all today, hasn't he?
Yeah. I don't think he has changed brands of tires. He started on the Goodyear, and I think he has stayed on them all day, and they certainly have worked well for him.
There's the Darrell Waltrip car that doesn't look even like a race car behind Harry. Darrell got caught between the wall and Phil Parsons earlier in the race, lost several laps. So we could definitely have a scramble of the Winston Cup points at the conclusion of this race.
If Ron Osherlin is watching out in California today, I just saw your car go down pit road for another. That's the Hut Strickland number 57 car, made an unscheduled stop on the back straightaway.
Well, Jack Arute is down in the Bodine pit with another report on the tires. Jack?
Well, this tire rule, now that it's gone into effect, is a good deal for guys like Alan Kowicki that are on Goodyears, and a good deal for a guy like Jeff Bodine that's on Hoosiers. Now, remember, we told you many of the teams had equal sets of tires. Well, what Waddell Wilson has done now is he's totally divested himself of the Goodyears because he didn't use them, and you know who was the recipient of most of them? Not a Hendrick car, but Alan Kowicki. Kowicki now has enough Goodyears, hopefully, to go the distance, and if you take a look over here, also having enough Hoosiers to go the distance is Jeff Bodine. So it worked out mutually beneficial for both teams.
That's a pretty neat deal. They just traded. He took Kowicki's Hoosiers and Kowicki took his Goodyear. That's a good deal.
There are 8 cars on the lead lap. We showed you 5 of them. Gant, Jeff, Bill Elliott, Greg Sachs, and Sterling Martin. The other 3 cars on the lead lap are the 28 of Davey Allison and the 6 of Mark Martin, and the 27 of Rusty Wallace.
And we see Rusty Wallace. We saw the white car just in, that's Harry Gant, the leader in that green and white skull car. And right up in front of him, we saw the white car, number 27. That's Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin right in front of him. And those guys are pedaling as hard as they can pedal to stay in this lead lap.
Gant has been strong since the drop of the green flag. The question is, will the car hold together, and will Harry be able to go the distance?
And Jack Arute talked at the beginning of the show about the young guys and the young movement.
Ain't happening, is it?
Hey, he's my age. He's 49 years old. Go, Harry.
He's a real oldster, I'll tell you that. But, but in the lead and taking the Skoll Bandit, hopefully, for him to victory lane. 298 laps completed. We're 71 away from the end of this race. And we'll be right back. Jerry Bunch back at Darlington, where Harry Gant in the number 33 Skull Bandit leads the Trans-South 500. Here's the best battle on the racetrack. It's for 5th spot. Sterling Marlin has that spot right now, the number 94 car, but Davey Allison is right behind him. And look at the 3rd car there. Now, he, needless to say, is not on the lead lap. He's down many, many laps because he hit the wall right there a few laps ago, in fact, quite a while ago, and had to come in for some costly repairs. But nevertheless, Dale Earnhardt is struggling along out there and picking up as many Winston Cup points as he possibly can. But this battle between Sterling Marlin and Davey Allison has gotten quite heated just in the last few laps.
It has. In fact, they touched not too many laps ago and got a little bit sideways, but they straightened them out pretty quick and keep at it. Now here comes Davey Allison down on the inside. He's going to try to make a move on Sterling Marlin. Maybe not this time.
For those of you who are tuning into ESPN in hopes of seeing the Lipton Players Challenge Tennis from Florida, that will be on right after our conclusion of this race. It is running longer than we had anticipated. Whoop, there's Davey Allison, and he takes over 5th spot now from Sterling Marlin. We're running longer than we had anticipated because we were under yellow quite a while NASCAR answered some scoring questions that arose on pit road.
It's amazing that Richard Childress and that crew could fix Earnhardt's car good enough after he hit the wall as hard as he did. He's out there passing the 5th and 6th place guys. Now, that's amazing. Childress and those guys must really know exactly how the car is set or something to be able to do that.
Well, Benny, they have laid out in their pits a complete set of steering and everything ready to bolt on that car, and I'm sure that it's already been adjusted. They probably had it on the race car, set the car up, took it back off, and then laid it out there piece by piece, and then they can just bolt it on there, and the car's set up good there.
And another good battle going on for 7th position as Rusty Wallace in the 27 car just passed Mark Martin, the number 6 car, and Rusty now has 7th. And there is Harry Gant, however, sneaking up on these 2 drivers to try to put them a lap down.
That's why Rusty had to get by, because Mark Martin...
Oh, and Rusty
in the wall.
Has a tough time bringing it off the wall.
I think he just got into the corner too hard that time. He might have had a tire going down, but I believe he just got in there a little bit too hard. He went a lap down.
Now then, how much damage did he do? That's the question. Is he going to come in the pits or not?
I don't think so.
Is any sheet metal?
Yes, he is. Here comes Rusty after scraping the wall between turns 1 and 2, and Rusty Wallace has fought back gallantly today, but things just don't seem to be going right for him. Jack Arute is in his pits.
Well, Rusty Wallace brings the wounded car down onto pit road, and it looks like they're going to the outside where he hit the wall. Barry Dodson working the jack, getting it up. Jimmy Maycar working on the right front. He's got that off. They're trying to pull away the sheet metal from the right front where he rang the wall with Whitney, and Whitney is a little bit wounded, but they've completed the work, and Wallace is away in 16.5 seconds.
Jack, it didn't look like there was too much damage. There is certainly some scraping along the side of the car where he hit the wall, but it didn't look like it was bashed in too much. It looked like going into the sun, maybe looking in the rearview mirror a little bit to see where Harry Gant was, and he just got in there a little bit too high and a little bit too hard.
I tell you what, Jack, get one of the cameras there to look at the outside of that tire, because all the Goodyear is gone.
Okay, let's look at it again. As Rusty Wallace goes into that turn, he goes down in the low side of the track as you normally do, and then the car starts to slide up. He gets up in the loose stuff and gets it into the wall, and he does a good job of riding the wall. He was smart to not cut the steering wheel to the left all of a sudden. He probably would have spun out, so he just sort of rode the wall around there a little bit to get it slowed down, and then brought it back down on the racetrack. All
right, Bill Elliott in car number 9. The number 4 car of Rick Wilson is between Bill Elliott and Davey Allison. Wilson is not on the same lap as Elliott and Allison, but those 2 guys, Elliott and Allison, are on the lead lap and are running for position.
You know, we saw Rusty Wallace get in the wall in turn 1, and as the car rubs the side of the race car on the wall, that's what the people in the pit area laughingly call the Darlington strike. Because used to, when Ned Jarrett won his race here in 1965, the 3rd and 4th corner, there was only one groove around the racetrack, and that was right against the guardrail, and you literally almost had to rub the rail to be in the groove.
Yeah, it was a guardrail, a metal guardrail back then where they have the cement wall now. But yes, if you did not come in, even after qualifying, if you didn't come in with the stripe on the side of that car that you had rubbed that guardrail, you had not made a fast lap. That was the only way you could make a fast lap around this racetrack. So you talk about driving a fine line. Now, it was that way. My 65 Ford at the end of the Southern 500 that year, the sheet metal was worn out of it on that side.
And there we see Bill Elliott, Rick Wilson, and Davey Allison. Jack Arute, do you have one of those tires that took off of Rusty Wallace's car?
Well, Benny, let me show you. This is the way they normally look, right? With the big Goodyear and the eagle and the markings here. Here's the one that came off of Rusty's car, and well, I can see a little white here on the winged foot, and that's about it. Now remember, that's the way it looks on the inside, and the way it should look on the outside as well until you get a Darlington stripe.
He left all that white paint on the wall up in turn 1.
Yep, but that's explained pretty graphically there. You can hardly see it at all. Bill Elliott, car number 9. Here at Darlington, the winner of the Transouth 585, the Southern 585, the Southern 588. In 22 Darlington starts, he has 20 top 10 finishes. Davey Allison, however, is catching him. Davey moves inside and passes the slower car of Rick Wilson. And now, Davey may pull up to challenge Bill for that position.
And while we've been talking about these other things, Harry Gant has passed Mark Martin and has put him a lap down. We saw that he was about to as when Rusty Wallace had his problem down there, so he has since done that. And now there are 6 cars on the lead lap.
Well, let's see if Davey will challenge Bill for that 4th position. Not at the moment. Maybe, however, coming off of turn 2 and down the backstretch. Elliott, though, running well in that number 9 car. I believe Davey is going to be content to sit there for just a while. But maybe Bill Elliott is on the comeback. We talked about it in the early part of the show, how he needs to turn things around. Earlier in the weekend, our question to him, has '89 been a major disappointment?
Well, you know, looking back on Daytona, it was tough. You know, everything we worked for all winter long, you know, trying to test, trying to get ready. We thought we had some good stuff going for Daytona. And everything going away right then. You know, we had to run the same car in the Clash as in the 500 and everything else. So, you know, plus being hurt on top of that, you know, really threw us behind, you know, even till now. And we're just so far behind right now, it's unbelievable. We're trying to get things sorted out. We're trying to get us a good game plan going, and it seems like everything we do, nothing's really working. You know, now I'm getting back where I need to be as far as being able to drive a race car, but still yet I've got a lot of stuff I need to be doing. You know.
It appears, though, that the program is coming together for Bill Elliott. He runs 4th in the late stages of this Transouth 500, and certainly next week, a track that will challenge him physically is going to be Bristol International Raceway, that half-mile racetrack in which the speeds have increased in testing to 122 miles an hour for a half-mile racetrack. That's about 5 miles an hour over the track record.
Bristol is God's way of telling a race car driver he can't be in good enough shape to drive a race car at Bristol. Man, it's a killer.
As we watch these 2 cars battle for the 4th and 5th position, we mentioned there are 6 cars in the lead lap. Of course, Harry Gant is the leader. Jeff Bodine running 2nd. Greg Sachs is 3rd. Bill Elliott 4th. Davey Allison 5th. Sterling Marlin 6th. Mark Martin just went 1 lap down as Harry Gant passed him not too long ago. Alan Kowicki is running in 8th place. 9th is Bobby Hillen, 1 lap down. 10th is Ricky Rudd. Michael Waltrip is 11th. And Rusty Wallace is 12th. From 7th through 12th position, all 1 lap down. 13th is car number 84, who's coming into the pits right now, Dick Trickle. He is 2 laps down. He'll go further down. And Kim Schrader's in 14th, Rick Wilson 15th, Brett Bodine 16th, Kyle Petty is 17th, and Richard Petty is in 18th. Lake Speed has gone 3 laps off the pace now. He's in 19th. Morgan Shepherd is in 20th position. 21st is Dave Marcus. And Terry Labonte having a rough day here in the Budweiser Ford is 4 laps down in 22nd position.
There's the Coors Ford, however, that is in 4th position. The 88 car of Greg Sachs is running in 3rd.
And he's not that far back from Jeff Bodine, only about a 1.5 seconds or so back in front of him is Jeff Bodine in 2nd place. So I tell you what, they think they won the race if they went home with a 2nd place finish.
Jerry Punch is in the Greg Sachs pit. Jerry?
Well, indeed they would, Benny Parsons. You know, they've had a lot of tough luck in this Crisco team, the Crisco Pontiac, owned by Buddy Baker and Danny Schiff. But the big difference to the team, a few weeks ago, they added this man right here, Suitcase Jake Elder, the man who has been around a long time, and no one knows how to set up a car for Darlington better than Jake Elder, and he has done a yeoman's job. They qualified back in 16th spot, but Jake Elder has done an outstanding job. They are excited about having him on board, and I think Greg Sachs is going to be thanking his lucky stars right now, running second or running third, actually, and running very, very well in the last 45 laps to go.
You can see there that he has had a top 10 finish earlier this year, so this could be his second. He was 8th at Rockingham in the race that we televised for you.
We saw J.C. Elder. When I won the Trans-South 500, he was the crew chief that set my car up. And Jerry Punch, you're right. He knows how to set up a car for Darlington. As we watched Jeff Bodine, I don't see the tire smoke that I saw just a moment ago, so he's probably running a little bit slower and not spinning the tires or pushing as bad as he was a moment ago.
Notice a little bit of tire smoke at times, but not all the time. Jeff in second position.
Tell you what, I think Waddell did his work today as the crew chief's role, because he brought NASCAR's attention to the fact that, hey, we have been cheated out of a lap. He brought their attention to it, and finally they rechecked and said, you're right, and gave him his lap back.
You notice that Jeff got up way up high there in turns 1 and 2 and came close if he didn't slightly scrape the wall, and that seems to be the way things have gone generally all weekend. That first and second turn has seen a lot of cars get up there and put a little paint on it.
It's a pretty treacherous turn, and again, this time of the day, when you go into turn 1 looking into the sun, and then all of a sudden you go into some shade over there as you start coming off of the turn, and it makes it tough to see. The windshield is very pitted by now, and in fact you can see there the glare and how the windshield is pitted. You don't have the clear vision that you had at the beginning of the race. As we look out the Valvoline car of Morgan Shepherd, you can see up in front of him the Michael Waltrip yellow Country Time Lemonade car. Follow Morgan around the track here a little bit to see he backs off to go into the turn, and he accelerates. This is coming off of turn 4 now. Now he's heading down the backstretch right now, getting the turn straightened out here.
Now he's driving in the sun in turn 1. Now see how the glare is right there? We can probably see it better from the camera than you can from inside the race car.
Yeah, it just almost blinds him there for a moment.
Harry Gant, car number 33, leads the Trans-South 500 with 324 laps completed. Gant has led this race since lap 188, and we are at lap number 325. The top 10 as we take another break here at Darlington will show you that Harry Gant is in the lead. Second is Bodine, third Sachs, fourth Elliott, and in fifth spot is Davey Allison.
We'll see you again.
We're about to go back to racing after a caution period brought out by some debris. Now let me explain what has happened here. Because we ran over so long, and mainly because of that long yellow period while some NASCAR scoring questions were sorted out, we had to change transponders and even satellites, so we had to go off the air for a while, and that's why we went to tennis. We hope you enjoyed the tennis that we brought to you, but now we're ready for the finish of the race, and there are less than 20 laps to go. The top 5 with 349 laps completed here at Darlington show Harry Gant in the lead, with Jeff Bodine running second, then Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, and Greg Sachs. All have come in for pit stops during this most recent caution period caused by, again, debris on the front stretch, but now we are set up for hopefully the finish of this race.
And once again, Harry Gant quickly dived down pit road when the caution came out. Alan Kowicki came down with him. Alan missed a golden opportunity to pick up the lap that he is behind, but he came down pit road, and so now he's still a lap down.
The green comes out, and the race resumes with now 17 laps to go. Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina is in the lead. That's Jeff Bodine right on his tail, however, as they come out of corner number 2 and race down the backstretch. And although Harry Gant has shown the dominance here throughout most of this race and has led for most of it, Jeff Bodine may have other thoughts now as we reach the closing laps. Now there's the number 9 car of Bill Elliott and the 88 machine of Greg Sachs, and there's the 28 car, the Haviland car of Davey Allison, and all these guys are on the lead lap. Davey Allison has moved to 3rd, 4th is Elliott in number 9, and then 5th is Greg Sachs in car number 88.
Well, Harry Gant has certainly been dominant for the last couple of 100 miles in this race, and now he's pulled away a little bit from Jeff Bodine as we see the battle for the 4th and 5th positions between Bill Elliott, who's running 4th, and Greg Sachs in car number 88 running in the 5th position.
Let's talk about, guys, for just a minute here, what this win is going to mean for Harry Gant, because I'm sure both of you have gone for long. Oh, and Greg Sachs is in trouble, hitting the wall in turn 1 and gets nailed by another car. Hard contact.
Everybody spinning and slamming into each other as they go into the turn. Apparently a lot of oil put down by Greg Sachs' car, plus the blindness going into that turn. The fact that the sun is in their eyes, and you can see the Greg Sachs car in the center of the screen.
I think that's a Kenny Schrader car that hit Greg Sachs. I can't tell. He's up in the...
Yes, it is Kenny Schrader. And there was another car there in the middle of the racetrack that also was involved. Boy, Greg Sachs, look at that car. You can see him moving around in there. He apparently is okay, but that car took a real serious hit. And there is Ken Schrader, who also went hard into the wall and into Sachs. I hope that Kenny is okay.
And the entire field of cars is going down on the apron of the racetrack because there's so much debris up where those cars made the collision. And we see Schrader jumping out of his car and getting out of there.
Yeah, glad to see that. He took a shot.
He sure did. He hit Sachs hard and apparently got back into the wall as well.
And before that accident occurred, you can see the left side of that car, and the paint had almost been entirely taken off anyway, and now there's considerably more damage than that.
Right,
here's a replay.
Okay, Greg Sachs moves down to the inside. You can see the smoke. He knew he had trouble right then. He moved down to the inside of the racetrack and slid back up in front of Ken Schrader. Then we see other cars coming. There's, I believe, Ricky Rudd's car going. I believe Ricky got through there.
I think that's Kyle Petty that stopped in. I don't know who that is on the inside. I think Kyle Petty was also involved in the accident.
Okay, the number 8 car, Bobby Hillen Jr., was involved, as was Rick Wilson in car number 42 and Kyle Petty. Another angle replay of the crash. Here comes the hitting. And watch the yellow car of
Rudd slams on the brakes and slides all the way through.
There's Hillen. No, that's Dick Trickle.
Yeah.
And Rick Wilson also made contact with, I believe, Greg Sachs as he came spinning down into turn number 1. Here's how it looked from Morgan Shepherd's point of view.
The Valvoline Pontiac, he sees the smoke in front of him, trying to get his car slowed down, and you can see that there's just not much that he can see as he goes into that turn. Then he loses vision completely. Now he sees another car come in front of him, and he tries to go high on the racetrack, trying to find a clear spot. There's Rick Wilson spinning on the inside of him.
And he made it through.
Yep. Geared her down. You can see him put it up into 3rd gear as he went into that turn. Here's Greg Sachs walking, and Kenny Schrader walking back up through there. Of course, Greg telling him what happened.
2 of the drivers involved in this crash walking away from it. Now we have yet another angle of this crash, and this perhaps will give you a better indication of what happened. Just at the start-finish line, something happened on the Greg Sachs car as he was behind Bill Elliott.
We see the smoke coming out of the exhaust, which is an indication that something is broken inside the engine, and it starts coming out the exhaust pipe. Greg, in trying to get out of the competitor's way and get out of the groove of the racetrack, drives down on the apron of the racetrack.
Here's a real-time replay for Morgan Shepherd's car. Let's listen to what happened.
On the brakes hard. Now, which way do I go? Left or right? Man, maybe. Woo, am I good or what?
He survived.
That's
you
what
could
it is.
hear. You could hear him running over some of the debris that had been scattered down there. Again, there's Greg Sachs who started the incident, and Ken Schrader walking right behind him. Both of them are okay, but that was our most serious crash of the afternoon, and it came with about 15 laps remaining. You can see that he's being interviewed there by one of the Motor Racing Network reporters, and there is the battered Folgers machine of Kenny Schrader, but he is okay, already climbed out of it and is walking himself to the pit area. So it's going to be quite a while before this debris is cleaned up down in the turn 1 and 2 area. In the meantime, another break. We'll be right back. From Darlington Raceway in South Carolina, a race that's being led right now by Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina. Today's Speed World coverage is being brought to you by your local Yamaha dealer, featuring the all-new FCR 600 motorcycle. Yamaha, we make the difference. By Quaker State Motor Oil, the big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by the First Name and Filters Purolator, exceptional protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. A crash down in turns 1 and 2. The crew still doing the cleanup. Now, Jack Arute in the pit area is with 2 of the principals involved in this accident, Jack.
Well, first let's talk to Greg Sachs, who actually precipitated the accident. Greg, an engine let go.
Yeah, Jackie, an engine did let go, and I feel something bad for AC and Crisco, Mobile One, Pontiac. You know, the car was working so well, and it's all a tribute to my new crew chief, Jake Elder. He's done a fabulous job, and I know that everybody can expect more of this to come. We're going to get out there. We're going to win some races. I'm just glad that, you know, when the engine expired, no one got hurt behind us.
And you're okay?
I'm fine.
Now, the guy that took probably one of the wilder rides that actually did a little bumper tag with the guy on my right is Kenny Schrader. Kenny, that was a wild ride at Darlington.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, stuff happens here so quick. And we went down in there, Greg blew up, and I thought maybe he was going to get her gathered up on the bottom. And I went ahead and committed to go around top, and then he just came back across the racetrack. There's nothing he could do.
Now, not to make light of what happened, but these are 2 old open-wheeled racers, and they made the long walk back to pit road. All they kept doing is talking with their hands, saying, man, I thought I almost had it. Yeah, well, I thought I almost had it as well. It was hard to believe that they had crashed at 170 miles an hour.
And it was a tough shot, I'll tell you. Both of them took hard hits, and we'll replay this once again. As you can see, the cleanup is continuing. They're bringing some extra equipment, as a matter of fact, on the racetrack to expedite this cleanup procedure. Now, here's a replay.
There we see Sachs coming off turn 4. Bill Elliott, the car right in front of him. Sachs is thinking about drafting by. He starts by, and just as he starts to pull out, right there, the engine lets go. We see the smoke coming out. He moves down to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's going too fast when he gets down in the grip. Plus, there might have been some oil that did get under the wheels. He shoots back across the racetrack, directly in front of Ken Schrader, who had no place to go. And we see Kyle Petty gets tagged. That's not Kyle, that's Rick Wilson.
I believe it was Rick Wilson. Yeah, he went sliding through and got hit a couple of times. But Kyle Petty was also involved in it.
The stopped car nearest to us was Kyle Petty.
And there is his car now as it on the hook going back into the garage area.
So some drivers that were having some very good runs here this afternoon are out of it now as a result of this accident, and we get down near the end of this race, Bob. There's only about less than 10 laps to go.
Well, just as that accident was occurring, I was about to ask both of you guys what this race means to Harry Gant. You probably both have been involved in long dry spells in which you didn't win a race for 2-3 years, and now Harry Gant appears to be in a position to win for the first time since 1985. Is he going to be an easier person to get along with, you think, Ned?
Well, you know, it's been amazing how Harry Gant has handled the situation over those years. All of the disappointments that he's had, he still has been an easy person to talk with. But I'll tell you one thing that it'll do for his team, it puts them on the winner's circle plan, and that means a lot of dollars.
Hey, that's right. I had forgotten all about that, but you're right. It's worth about $7,000 for the remaining 25 races of the year, so that's nothing to sneeze at. But Harry Gant personally, yes, because I'm sure that when he had all the troubles the last couple of years, not just last year, but the year before that, when he had all those troubles, people looked at Harry Gant and said, he's too old to drive a race car. He can't drive a race car. Why don't he quit?
Never going to win again.
Never going to win again. I'm sure they're saying the same things about Richard Petty. And I know that Richard Petty, the relief that he's going to feel when he wins 201.
Yeah, and you know, while the people were saying that about Harry Gant, he was going out there on Saturday afternoon and winning some of those Busch Grand National races. So he was still proving that he could drive a race car. And he's certainly proving it here today.
You know, that's the thing. At Harry Gant, when he goes in the racetrack, when he checks in Bristol, his head's going to be just a little higher. And even though he's still limping from that accident in Charlotte, his step is going to be just a little further than it was before. It's 2 or 3 inches more.
Well,
he still hasn't won the race.
Well, that's true, yeah. And we are going to get some green flag laps in, I believe, because some of the cleanup crew has moved away from the crash site down in turns 1 and 2. There are some machines down there, but I think we're going to have a few laps of green flag racing. And the question is, can Harry Gant hold on to the lead?
My car's not.
Of ESPN Speed World, and again a reminder that as soon as we conclude this race, and we are near the conclusion of it right now, 7 more laps to go, we'll go down to Florida for the Lipton Players Challenge Tennis with Cliff Drysdale and Mary Carrillo. The top guys now are Harry Gant in the lead. Second place is the number 5 car of Jeff Bodine. In third is Sterling Marlin. Fourth is Davey Allison, and fifth is Bill Elliott. Sterling Marlin, this year an 11th and a 7th, a 5th and an 8th place finish, putting him 4th in the point standings. And now, if the race were to end right away, he would be 3rd at the conclusion of this race. And here's another guy that has been very consistent this year, and therefore in the real battle for the Winston Cup.
Yeah, new sponsor on the car. Sunoco sponsoring that car this year. He has a new crew chief. As a matter of fact, he and Greg Sachs traded crew chiefs. It wasn't planned that way, but it worked out that way. Jake Elder was a crew chief on Sterling Marlin's car at the beginning of the year. He was released, so he went over to Greg Sachs, and Darrell Bryant was the crew chief on Greg Sachs' car. He went over to this car number 94, so they just traded jobs.
You know, you longtime Winston Cup fans wonder, well, I thought he drove car 44. He did last year. You see the number 94 on the car. That has something to do with the octane of the gasoline in Sunoco or something. That's why they changed the...
A new higher octane gasoline was introduced, and it has 94 octane, and therefore that's the reason why the 94 is on this side of the car. Jeff Bodine, meanwhile, is in the 2nd position, and Waddell Wilson, the crew chief on this car, is with our Jackaroot.
Well, WW got the scoring all straightened out. Now can you get the lead straightened out? I mean, do you have enough with Jeff Bodine to take over this lead?
No, I'll tell you, Harry's car has really run good all day, going through the corners and down the straightaway, and he's on the good years, and from, you know, when they give us a green, I know that they're going to be tough. We're on the Hoosiers, which they fit our car better, and that's the reason we're on them. But it takes a few laps for them to come in, and right now we're hoping to hold off the cars behind us.
So really, he's going to try and settle for 2nd, but the man that's in the pit crew and has been with him all day that hopes that they'll score their first win is Jerry Punch. Doc, take it away.
Well, I'm with Andy Petrie. This young man grew up about 15 miles from Harry Gant's home and grew up watching Harry run the short tracks at Hickory and worshiping this guy. And now he's a crew chief for Harry Gant. And Andy, you can't be too upset about all these caution laps, can you?
Well, it can work both ways on you, Jerry. You know, if they go all the way under caution, naturally, I wouldn't mind that. But if we happen to get jumped on the start, we probably need a few laps to catch back up and maybe win the race. But, you know, it can work both ways.
Well, Harry Gant's talking back and forth to his crew, pointing out every small fleck of metal he can find up in turns 1 and 2, and they're passing it along to NASCAR to make sure that track is nice and clean before they drop the green here at Darlington.
And Jerry, one thing that all of those cars in front, there are 5 cars in the lead lap now. Harry Gant, Jeff Bodine, Sterling Marlin, Davey Allison, and Bill Elliott. Only Bill Elliott has made a pit stop. He had nothing to lose. He came in, put on 4 new tires. Wonder, those other 4 guys has to be wondering, did I run through debris? Have I cut a tire? They won't know that until that green flag drops. Now, you've seen them. They wiggle their cars back and forth, and Benny, I'm sure one thing they're trying to do is to see if they have a low tire or if they can feel it.
Well, they're doing 2 things, Ned, and the first thing that they're trying to do is, yes, we see Alan Kowicki. That's what we're talking about, weaving the car back and forth. Also, Mark Martin behind it. Harry Gant's weaving his car. They're trying to feel if they have a slack tire. Also, they're wiping the sand and debris off those tires.
The rubber that they picked up during...
Speaking of debris, there's still some on the racetrack. Our cameras have picked it up. It could be just a piece of paper, though, which creates no problem. But all of that debris that was caused from the accident down there in turn number 1 involving Greg Sachs and Ken Schrader and others has been cleared away, and now we get set to go racing again. 363 when the green flag comes out, and there will be 4 more laps of racing.
Well, what will those new tires do for Bill Elliott? He's in 5th place back there. Good move on his team's part to bring him in, put those 4 new tires on it. Could pick him up a position or 2, or who knows how many.
So we'll see what happens with Jeff Bodine and whether Waddell Wilson's comment holds true, and that is he becomes as much we're going to go. We're going to stay under caution.
I think that piece of metal that we saw bouncing out from some of the other cars down towards turn 1, it is being picked up now by one of the officials, and has now you can see him running back to the infield, but they're holding him up one more lap because of that.
Elmo Langley driving the pace car for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, and now Harold Kinder, the official starter, signals 1 more lap to go. The lights on the top of the pace car are turned out when they will be going back green the next lap. So there will be only 3 more laps of racing.
That's about the sickest I've ever been when I, felt like I had to race one and it was going to end on the caution flag, or it was going to rain or something, and it didn't happen that way. They threw the green flag back, and me knowing I'm going to get beat as soon as they throw the green flag back. But Harry Gant, maybe he has enough confidence in his car right now that he doesn't have that sick feeling that his dog just died or something.
Well, I tell you, that car has been running awfully strong here for the last, I'd say at least the last 300 miles, and unless something goes wrong here on the restart and only a few laps, he should have it.
The cars are at the end of the backstretch, going into the banking between turns 3 and 4. Lined up to the inside of Harry Gant is the lap car of Alan Kulwicki. Behind Kulwicki is the Mark Martin pole-sitting car, and then Rusty Wallace. All those guys are a lap down. Only 5 are on the lead lap at the moment.
One thing Harry Gant wants to do is to beat Alan Kulwicki into the first turn. If he can do that, he's going to be in good shape. If he doesn't, it's going to be tougher for him to stay out there.
And here we go. The green flag is out. There are 3 laps to go in the Trans-South 500, and Kulwicki is hanging right in there. As a matter of fact, he is taking Harry to the wall in turn number 1. Both survive, however, as they go down the backstretch. Now Harry Gant is going to stay high on the racetrack, and let's see what happens as they go into turn number 3. Yeah, Harry's going to get him.
Yeah, Alan gave him running room. That was a very gentlemanly thing to do, that he put him in position that he should be able to hold off Jeff Bodine.
And he's doing the same thing for Jeff Bodine, it appears. Here comes Bodine. That's Mark Martin on the inside of the track. He is a lap down. Sterling Marlin coming around there in 3rd.
Well, that's what Alan Kulwicki had to race to keep Mark Martin from passing him. So he has to, that's a position that they're racing for.
Oh, Kulwicki gets loose coming off the corner. Martin goes by. 3 abreast down the back straightaway. Woo.
What a scramble going into turn number 3. They get sorted out, however, and now Davey Allison in car number 28 has moved into 3rd position and will challenge Jeff Bodine for 2nd.
And Rusty Wallace and Kulwicki almost loses it off the corner as he tries to hold off Rusty Wallace. White flag. 1 more lap for Harry Gant.
1 more lap to go for Harry. He's got a comfortable lead as the cars come off of corner number 2 and down the backstretch. There he is, but the real battle's for 2nd position, and Davey Allison, it appears, is going to have 2nd. Yes, indeed, he's passed Jeff Bodine at the end of the backstretch, and Davey Allison is now in 2nd position. Jeff Bodine in the number 5 car is in 3rd. Here comes the end of the race, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Harry Gant winning his 10th Winston Cup career win, and in 2nd position is Davey Allison. 3rd is Jeff Bodine, and Harry wins his first Winston Cup race in September of 1985.
Congratulations, Harry Gant. That's what Davey Allison's saying.
Jeff Bodine.
Jeff Bodine.
You know, Waddell Wilson called it there. He said, we just hope that we can hold off the guys behind us. He was not able to hold Davey Allison off. The Jeff Bodine car just simply couldn't do it.
And don't get me wrong, every driver in this race wanted to win today. We see Rusty Wallace. Every driver wanted to see. Now here, look at this. They're 3 abreast in the back. Kulwicki on the outside, Wallace on the inside. Bill Elliott tried to make it 3 abreast. And here's Davey Allison coming off that 2nd corner. Great bite alongside. And almost clears him down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Jeff's car slipped just a little bit coming off of turn 2 over there, and Davey had a good run coming off the corner and just shot on past him.
I think the point that you wanted to make, Benny, was every single individual driver wanted to win the race, but I think they're all kind of happy for Harry.
If they couldn't win, I don't think there's anybody there that has any animosity at all towards Harry Gant winning the race. Every one of them stopped and congratulated Harry and said, hey, way to go.
A long dry spell has come to an end, just like we had a streak ended last week when Richard Petty failed to make the race. Here comes the old veteran Harry Gant back to win his first since 1985. And again, we talk about what we mentioned at the very top of the program. When we started this race, we had some young guys averaging 31 years of age up front. Mark Martin, Brett Bodine, Alan Kowicki, and Davey Allison. But on this racetrack, it's experience that counts, and an experienced veteran showed it today.
And not only experience getting around the racetrack, but experience in setting the car up to run 500 miles, knowing exactly what it takes to run 500 miles. We kept talking about Skoal as a sponsor. That is a Skoal Bandit car, but also Harry has a couple of associate sponsors. He's also sponsored by Food Line and Detroit Gas. Let's get those sponsors in.
90 races between wins. And Harry Gant's crew walks to victory lane as the Gant car is already there, and this should be quite a celebration.
No, he went by the gas pumps down there, or maybe just trying to find his way to victory lane. He's been to victory lane here at Darlington before, but I think he went by the gas pumps to fill the car up with gas, and then it's going on down, and that, of course, might have been a requirement by NASCAR. They do that at many racetracks. Now Harry Gant is pulling into victory lane.
And although we haven't figured the points specifically, we believe that Alan Kowicki is going to take over the Winston Cup points lead, and Earnhardt will go to second, and Sterling Marlin will move into third position in the Winston Cup standings. So Harry Gant is getting the helmet off and wiping the sweat off of his face. What a tremendous victory this afternoon. Well, our Sears Die Hard Winners interview is being brought to you by America's best-selling replacement battery, the Sears Die Hard. Let's go to victory lane.
Well, you can hear the applause and the big smile on Harry Gant getting that injured leg out of there. Harry, partner, it's been 4 years and 90 races. Welcome back to victory lane.
The Bandit is back. They got to reckon with us from now on. You know, we had a Andy and Leo Jackson and all our crew, they've done a super job today in this Oldsmobile. Rocket 88, yeah, they've done a good job today, boy. I tell you, it ran this super. And we've done good pit stops, and you know, I'm just glad we won this early. New team.
Well, this right here is a guy that's been on your back for 4 years, they're telling me, and you get the pleasure of throwing this monkey away. You've had the monkey, and he's gone. The monkey is gone from Harry Gant's back. Harry, your heart had to skip a beat those last 20 or 30 laps with all the yellow flags.
No, not really. Only time my heart skipped a beat there was when they started letting all the cars go around the racetrack and make their laps up free. I sat in there and I said, don't get mad. Just like stroke race, I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get mad. I just raced the track all day. I didn't run real hard. Earnhardt, Rusty, a lot of cars got in the wall. And I just stayed down a little way from the wall, and I tried to save the tire. The trick today was saving the tires, and, you know, Andy had the right setup on the car, and, you know, we got to thank Oldsmobile, Skoal, and Detroit Gaskets, and Goodyear done a good job here today, and we're tickled with them, too.
Again, Harry Gant in victory lane, winning the 33rd annual Transouth 500. The monkey is gone, and the Bandit is back. Gentlemen.
And the top 5 finishers after Harry Gant finishing in second position was the number 28 car of Davey Allison. Third was Jeff Bodine, Sterling Marlin.